believe it's already the third month of the year.
Yeah, it sure is. But here we are. Time stops for no man.
Nope. A lot going on across the pond with the Ukrainian issues with Russia, and now there's looks like there's some former American military that are forming militias to go over and fight over there. We'll get to that in a moment though, because there's a fight that took place here in Florida that's got the hair on your back standing up, and you're a little you want to vent a little bit. And it has to do with the Florida High School Athletic Association. They passed a referendum yesterday. I think it was 5-4. It was very close. And it split Florida high school football starting this season, upcoming season, into four metro classes and 5 suburban classes. Go ahead. I know you got something to say.
Well, it shouldn't have taken all this, but you know, what finally had to happen is the board said, look, we cannot put this off anymore. And Tomlin wanted to put it off more. Well, he just didn't want that vote to come down on his watch.
Right. He wanted the next guy to do it.
That's right. And again, that's Tomlin's career right there in a nutshell. Afraid to make the big decision. But then again, when he makes a big decision, it's usually wrong. So, you know, Price Harris from Dunellen, he was the head of this committee, and he's been talking about this for a long time.
It's done in Georgia.
So, yeah, and again, they got it done, they got it passed, and so this won't just affect football. This will affect all sports. So, you know, you're going to have these huge private schools that can just go out and recruit everybody. Are going to compete against themselves, and I think that's I hate the word fair and equitable, because life isn't either one of those things. But in this case, I think it is. When you look at the number of state championships they've had, and how much, I mean, when you get to see Chaminade come through, or some of these schools, you're like, my gosh, you couldn't find those 5 guys in any high school. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well,
I think it's a good thing.
It divides the 495 member schools into 4 metro classifications, 4 suburban classifications, 1 rural classification. The 4 metro classifications feature 228 schools coming from the state's 8 most densely populated counties. And we know what they are: Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Pinellas, Hillsborough, Orange, Seminole, and Duval. You know, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, Orlando, and Jacksonville. Makes perfect sense for the metro areas. Meanwhile, 234 schools for the state's remaining 59 counties would make up the 4 suburban classifications. And the rural classifications would feature 33 schools. So to me, it makes perfect sense to make it where a team like Hawthorne, you know, they're going to stay in the rural classification, I believe. It's going to make a team like Hawthorne that only has 378, 400 students total. It gives them, even though they're very good at football, it gives them a fighting chance at all sports now.
Well, and I'm hoping this also leads to a reclassification, right? So that, you know, you're maybe a team like Westport doesn't get stuck in the highest division.
Yeah, Westport had to play 8A schools all out of Orlando that they couldn't compete with.
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to see what the ripple effect is. And you know, and here's another, the thing I'm really, really just upset about is this county, Marion County, continues to lose really, really good coaches because, A, the pay structure is absolutely atrocious. B, you cannot form a booster club to offset and improve a coach's pay. And so because of that, you know, Brady Ackerman's left Bellevue. He's going to Texas to be a wide receivers coach, where he's probably making double what he was making here. You know, Price Harris is going to end up probably at Madison County with that job opening. So that means in 1 year, all of our public schools, save 2, are going to be turned over to coaches. That's a problem for us, right? And all is about the administration of these schools. They talk about, oh, athletics is important. But the second you try as a booster, and again, I lived through this with the basketball team at Vanguard. The second you try to help so that you can fund, so that you can, feed the kids before a game or get them a bus so that they don't all have to drive to the game, or do all of these little things that make a team more productive. Maybe go on a tournament where you spend the night. All of those things, administration squashes at every point they can. Now you can't even leave the school to go on a road trip, so you can't play anybody really outside of a 2-hour area because you're not allowed to get the kids out of school early. Granted, I get it. School is very important.
Man, we used to leave. When I was in high school, we'd leave at 11 a.m. to go down.
Yeah,
I played in Jacksonville. We'd leave at 11 a.m. so we could go all the way to Tallahassee to play Leon.
And that's also how you build a team, right? I mean, you build a team by having those kind of experiences, and you learn, you learn how to work together, and you learn a little bit more about the kids sitting next to you in the bus. All that's gone. And again, I understand, it's all about test scores. I get it. But, we are never, ever going to have good coaching. We're never, ever going to be able to develop good players in this county with this kind of turnover at head coach.
Well, you make a very
right?
good...
I mean, who in the wide world of sports wants a head coaching football job?
Well, you make a very good point. Well, you make a very good point about the money disparity. Now, I don't know what it is now, but I know that I played high school football with Tyrone Blue, who is now the principal at William M. Raines High School. Now, you know William M. Raines High School out of Jacksonville. It's a very well-known high school football powerhouse for a very long time. Everybody knows William M. Raines, right? Tyrone Blue at the time was the head football coach at William M. Raines. I was the defensive coordinator at Avery County High School in North Carolina. Okay, Avery County High School is where Sugar Mountain, Beach Mountain, Linville Falls. It's a very wealthy, ritzy area with a football team that, they win 4 out of 10 games a year. It's a good season. William M. Raines competed for state championships at this time with Tyrone Blue as the head football coach. I made $500 more a year as a supplementary to my income as a coach, as a defensive coordinator at a school in North Carolina than Tyrone Blue made as the head football coach at a powerhouse in the state of Florida.
Yeah, it's truly sad, Tom. And again, I'm not sitting here saying I know all the answers. But, one of the answers is allow booster clubs to pay the football
The booster
coach.
club at Avery County High School subsidized 40% of our program. 40% of our program came from the booster club.
And I know for a fact that promises were made to certain coaches in this county from the booster club, and that those promises were not kept by the administration. And it's Tom, I mean, what are we going to do? I've been saying that athletics has been dying for a long time, and today this vote will kind of help that. But you know what it really sets up? It really just sets up the haves and the have-nots. Because we know here locally that a private school can pay their head coach whatever they want. And by the way, that private school is deemed that it's worth it. It's worth paying that head coach more because it brings us more students. It increases our notoriety.
John Brantley's the highest paid coach in Marion County.
And now we could argue whether he is or whether he should be or not. But what are we doing? What do we really care about in this? We spend a whole lot of money on parks, and I love parks. But, we don't spend any money at all on high school athletics. And maybe people don't think we should. That's a discussion that we should have. But understand the repercussions of it are more and more kids are going to go to private school. And mark this down, in 5 years, there will be a private high school team in Marion County that's at the high school level that goes around and plays other private schools. That are, it's just nothing more than football. and it'll be outside of the FHSAA, which I can't stand, and it'll be ungoverned. And now we're just going to have a semi-pro team at the high school level, and that's where it'll start. It'll start in the spring, and then it's going to happen in the next 5 years.
And we have schools like that already in the state of Florida, numerous schools like that, and that's the trend. That's where it's headed. Speaking of headed, we got to head to a commercial break. We'll be right back after this timeout. You're listening to Ocala Talks, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Are you or your loved one being released from a hospital and wondering how you'll manage? Inform your physician that you want to go to Palm Garden of Ocala at 2700 Southwest 34th Street for your rehabilitation. Palm Garden provides pain management, post-discharge follow-up, diabetic care, psychosocial support, and so much more. Plus, they even offer outpatient rehab. This award-winning care facility has a team of licensed professionals dedicated to enhancing your independence. Call 352-854-6262 today.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
You know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Tune in to Coasting into Retirement with Gary Marriage of Nature Coast Financial Advisors, Sunday mornings at 8 to get answers to your retirement planning questions. Plan today so you can do the things you've always dreamt about doing in retirement. Listen Sunday mornings at 8 to Coasting into Retirement with Gary Marriage of Nature Coast Financial Advisors.
Our firm offers insurance services.
Are you wasting time boxing up packages and going to the post office or the UPS store? Are you tired of not knowing what you'll pay when you get there? Just Ship offers pickup service and flat rate packaging and postage rates, which takes the guesswork out of shipping while saving you time and money. So quit wasting valuable time and money. Call or text Just Ship at 352-234-3840. That's 352-234-3840. Just Shipped.
Now you've done it. Have you lost your mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks on a Tuesday. Galen Enoff from Life South joins us, brought to you by the good folks at Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center, Just Shipped, and Penn Flooring. Galen, we've talked about how the ruling by the FHSAA at a 9-7 vote after 2 hours of open discussion against the wishes of George Tommen. He was dead set against this. Well, he was dead set against voting on it. He was dead set against voting on it.
He refused to take a stand.
Right.
Yeah.
He was wishy-washy. Oh, there's
he wanted
a surprise.
more data. He needed more data than the last 10 years.
So we know how it will affect football. But will it have that big of effect on basketball or baseball, stuff
Big
like
time.
that?
Big time. Big time for basketball. Baseball, a little less, but basketball, volleyball, women's volleyball is going to have a huge impact. Women's softball. And again, it's really simple. I say it all the time. Coaching matters. Coaching matters. And when you can take a kid who you think's got some talent, and you can take them to a coach who can develop that talent, and you have the means to do it, or they give you a scholarship, especially in these very rural areas, or urban areas, guess what? You're going to do that, Tom.
Right? You're going
to do that, because if that's a way out for you, where you're going to get a better education and you're going to be coached in your sport better with better facilities, why wouldn't you do that? And again, this goes back to my previous bit. We're spending less and less and less money every year on high school athletics. Look at Booster Stadium. They haven't made a single upgrade to Booster Stadium in 35 years. Now, I've been told they got a new scoreboard out there, but it was secondhand and it's already broke. Right? In 35 years, when you think about all the, they get 4,000 to 5,000 people a game there, and you don't even have a scoreboard that works.
I know.
And then you go to some of these other facilities where they have big, the giant jumbotrons.
Where you can watch replays.
Absolutely. And my son's basketball team, Vanguard Basketball, couldn't even afford a video system. Right? They had to just have some freshman kid film the team, and then they would upload it to a cloud. They couldn't even afford Huddle or Crossover or any of these other solutions. And again, it's small things like that that just continue to erode. And as a coach, you have to fill up all those gaps that you can.
Well,
So now you're taking money out of your own pocket, and you're already underpaid. And if you're a good coach, during the season you're working 18 to 20 hours a week.
Easy.
Or a day.
Easy.
If you're a good coach, if you're preparing your team properly.
You get to school at 7 and you
guys,
get to school at 6:30, 6:45 in the morning, and you don't leave till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
That's right. That's if you're a good coach. Now, if you're one of these guys who just rolls out the balls and just wants the title, and by the way, I can name about 10 of those guys right now who coach basketball and football in this county, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah, you're home by 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and you don't care. You show up for practice when it's convenient, when it's not, or if your child's got.
Unless you're the coach at a private school where that's all you have to do is just coach.
That's right. Now there are a lot of guys who grind, and those are the guys that burn out. You're Brady. It's a shame that Brady Ackerman's leaving this county and having to go to Texas where he's making twice as much. And he's probably going to be a wide receivers coach.
Wide receiver, running backs coach, something like that.
So, and it's a shame. It's an absolute shame. But again, it's not like our test scores are any better.
Well, you make a good point. You make a good.
But they don't treat coaches as administrators. How many administrators does each school have now?
25, I think, 30, 35, something like that.
It's unbelievable. When I'm not that old, but I'm pretty damn old. When I went to school, we had one principal at an elementary school. I went to Ward Highlands Elementary School. I walked there every single day. There was one administrator. That school isn't any bigger now, and they have like 9. All right? And we have fewer teachers.
Right.
So, again, this is an issue. I've had it for a long, long time.
And
this county has more administrators than you could possibly.
Well, you make a good point. You make a good point too about how it's going to affect volleyball and softball and basketball on the girls' side. And here's how I know this. I have some very good friends of mine. I'm from Callahan, Florida. I tell everybody South Georgia, what part, Jacksonville, but I'm actually from Callahan, Florida, just north of Jacksonville, a very rural area. West Nassau High School, though, is going to be in the it won't be in the rural league. It'll be in the suburban league. Right, it'll be in suburban. It won't be in the rural. It'll be in suburban. But I know for a fact 4 or 5 of my buddies that I played football with, that's daughters are very, very good. 2 of them are very good at volleyball. 3 of them are excellent at softball. And their dads or moms work in Jacksonville. Those girls, after their freshman year, they all go to private schools in Jacksonville now instead of West Nassau High School. By the way, West Nassau High School, that's won 14 state championships in softball. They've won 3 or 4 basketball state championships in girls basketball. They're very good at sports, in the girls' sports, but still, these girls, because they want D1 scholarships, very good D1 scholarships and all, it is much better for them and their parents to take them to a private school in Jacksonville than it is to go right there at their hometown school, West Nassau, just because the coaching is so much better.
And again, I just went through this. My son could have played D1, but in order for him to play D1 in basketball, and this was told to us point blank, not only by the coach at Dartmouth, but also the coach at the Rock. The Rock's like, come play for us. You'll be on our national team. You'll be a basketball player, and you'll go to high school online. And my son knew at that moment, if he wanted to play D1 basketball, that's how he was going to do it. He was no longer going to be a high school student. He was going to be a basketball player.
Right.
Because that's what it takes. And he decided, I don't want that. Right? I just want to go to high school. So he stayed at the IB program at Vanguard. Now he's got an honor scholarship from Florida State. He's not smart enough to get into Florida, apparently. He got in, but yeah.
Well, that's like IMG.
That's
At IMG, schoolwork is what you do after the sport you're there for.
Oh, but IMG is $70,000 a year.
Right, but
Right?
you pay that 70
And
grand
only-
for athletics. You don't pay that 70 grand for academics.
Absolutely. Well, and 65% of their population is from out of the country.
Yeah.
There are, again, we could delve into that, but that's not the problem. I really believe that if we could figure out how to pay coaches more, we'd have better athletics, and we wouldn't have all these trainers.
We know how to pay them better.
But you
We
know
know how to pay them better. Let the booster club
Sure.
raise money and use that to pay
Exactly.
coaches. We know how to do it. We did it in Florida. Hey,
But here-
booster clubs were huge in Florida till when? The mid-1990s?
You're darn right. So they decided they didn't like them anymore. But you know why? Because they don't want the head football coach to make more than that administrator. And by the way, that is the bottom line. That administrator, that person who does nothing but a so-called attendant, doesn't want to make less than the football coach because they look down on the football coach. They don't think the football coach. And by the way, the football coach has a far bigger impact on that student body's life than any administrator.
And by the way, I was a football coach, but I was a history teacher who coached football. I wasn't just a football coach. I was an actual teacher, and my priorities were teaching history, not coaching football. Coaching football was my extracurricular activity, but I still wanted to be paid well for it.
Well, and you weren't the head coach.
No, I was defense coordinator at Avery County my last 2 years.
So, and they also keep cutting how much you were allowed to give your assistant coaches. Every single year it comes down. So you don't even get good assistant coaches. And again, this is an ongoing problem, and I have vented about it many, many times. But until we fix it, this is what's going to happen. Is more and more kids are going to go to private school.
Well, we're not
the coaching, and again, and when you look at the ADs and who they hire,
We're
going
up,
to hire somebody
we're
who
up
doesn't get them in trouble.
we're up against a hard break. We'll be right back after this timeout on WOCA The Source.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News with Lance Pry.
The United Nations is expected to call for a resolution Wednesday to demand Russia leave Ukraine immediately after the official announcement. This as war crimes investigations against Russia have begun. Ukraine's United Nations ambassador on Monday.
Russia is attacking hospitals, mobile aid brigades, and ambulances. Do not listen to Russian lies. Listen to Ukraine's cries.
Ukraine's President Zelensky has submitted paperwork to join the European Union. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said President Biden will absolutely mention inflation during his first State of the Union speech. America's #1 concern, according to a recent Pew Research poll, is the struggling economy under the Biden administration.